Oh my god. Oh my god. Stop voting Eichenwalde. I'm begging. I'm begging all of you guys to please stop voting for this map. Hello, I'm Lord Thethan. I am an Overwatch collegiate varsity coach of 6 years. And today we're going to be taking a look at some support gameplay on Eichenwalde. This is for a player called Ryan. They are Ryan2305, and they submitted this in a replay code submission forum, mentioning this is a narrow loss of 4-3 in overtime. I feel like I was enabling my team to do quite a lot in terms of using my anti-nade, but it wasn't enough. Can someone look at the replay and tell me what I could have done differently to change the outcome? This is a platinum rated lobby. I'm not sure what division, but honestly, it probably doesn't matter. Pretty much up until below GM, it's all the same. And you guys can think that I'm making that up, that I'm trying to make people feel better, but it's kind of funny if you go from VOD to VOD, and if you look at all my old Twitch VODs, recently I've only had, the videos that I posted recently have only had kind of the lower medal ranked environments that we've looked at. But if you go back through my old Twitch VODs, and you go take a look at some of those, and maybe a couple of the VOD reviews that I'll make public here in a little while, where we get to take a look at some like Masters, like low GM gameplay. I literally talk about the exact same stuff. So don't worry. I'm actually not kidding you when I say it really is kind of all the same. My collegiate team, we compete at like the low advanced level for facet division. You're looking at like 4.5k plus scrim SR, which doesn't mean too much, but and we play like Plat Ana players tonight in our match, and it was, well, last night technically, but we played like Plat Ana players, and it was devastating to watch in real time. In any case, if we take nothing else from this VOD review, let it be stop voting for Eichenwalde. I don't think people know how to play this map. And the more I watch it, and the more I play it, because I have to play this map a lot, because people vote for it, because for some odd reason, people still like Hybrid and Escort over Flashpoint and Push, which are the superior Overwatch 2. I mean, now I guess Overwatch game modes, while Hybrid and Escort are like unfair and just oh man. Just like on the basis of just the map design, the modes are unfair. Anyways, stop voting Eichenwalde. If you don't know how to play the map, then don't vote it, please. Yo, that Bastion voted for Alright, let's get into it. Alright. Be careful about being the first one out the gate. If I'm playing DPS, if I'm playing Soldier, I'm lining up a Helix Rocket. If I'm playing Emre, I'm throwing out 2 nades. If I'm playing Bastion, I'm throwing up a nade and I'm pinging my shift, and I'm pressing my shift key. And like, you deserve to get melted here. So like, don't worry about being the first one out the gate. You're all going to the same place, and nothing is going to slow you down except for taking damage where you can't justify. So this leads us to our first really important principle, and it's kind of funny. I talk about a lot of the same stuff from video to video, so some things I'll highlight, or I'll talk a little more in detail about. Some things I'm just going to say, refer to one of my other videos, and you can guess which one. Again, I talk about the same stuff in all of them. Damage taken timings is a really important principle. So this is like, when are you taking damage and what damage are you taking, right? So like, coming out of spawn like on Eichenwalde, where like if you're attacking Eichenwalde, literally you need every advantage you can get on this map. It is absolute trash, horrendous nonsense to play. This map feels bad to play and win and lose, right? So like, honestly, every advantage matters, and you know what is an advantage? Having more health than the enemy, or at the very least not having less than them, especially before you've even rounded the first corner, right? So you like flagrantly disregard the advantage that you could just be like passively building for yourself by being eager to jump into the fray of battle and take whatever damage you think you either think you can justify or aren't thinking that you can justify, or can't justify, sorry. So either that you are thinking you can justify or aren't thinking you can't, right? Which really, you can't justify as Ana taking damage from a Bastion in the opening phase of the map. Look at his ult charge. Unfortunate nade timing. I've been telling my support player lately, stop Suzuing your DPS player, like your star DPS player who literally got scouted by another school because he is so incredibly talented. Oops, I just beat the heck out of my mic. Uh, look, you're just Suzuing a corpse at one point. You're just nading a corpse, you know. And honestly, if my DPS is taking that much damage, right, that quickly, for one, we're scoped in here at ranges that we probably don't have to be scoped in on. So if my DPS player is taking that much damage that quickly, what is a nade gonna do? A whole lot of nothing. So like, it's just a lost cause. She's dead before you can even like decommit from the nade. We're taking a lot of damage. You know why we're taking a lot of damage? It's because we're all in the exact same position. I've talked about this in many other videos. It's generally just not good to be on top of each other. It's not good to be stacked up as a team. See, like, literally any of my other videos, I talk about, like, any of the bajillion reasons that it's just not good to be stacked up on your team. And it's like, kind of like scenario-based, but, like, just generally you don't want to be stacked up on top of your team. Oh, but if I have Reinhardt, Lucio, Reaper... Yeah. Go sit down. All of us can point out that the Fruit Loops are multiple different colors. All of us can point at a red brick building and say, wow, that has people inside probably, you know, like whatever. Ooh, be careful, be careful. Sleep is I truly and really believe in the more that I look at Ana gameplay, the more I like absolutely understand Sleep Dart to be a defensive utility. Don't use it to set up your teammates, especially not in Platinum. Don't use it to set up your teammates even as low as low GM, or even as high as low GM. Just use it to like make sure that you're keeping yourself safe and set yourself up for kills. So like, you know, okay, if you can get this kill on the Sojourn, then go for that Sleep. But I don't know how you're gonna get up there, right? To get the final blow on the Sojourn after you Sleeper, right? So you can just save it for yourself for when you need. And it's possible that you're using it to cross the distance here, but I'm gonna ask, do you think that it's worth it to cross this distance here by using the Sleep to put Sojourn, like to basically keep Sojourn inactive for like 5 seconds, or do you think that it might have actually just been better to path around this side of the map and go through this this side, right? Or at least take cover over here, or find a way to be close to the wall so that Sojourn has a really difficult angle where she has to really make herself vulnerable to this, right? I just don't think that the Sleep buys you enough here for you to get that. Where did your Sleep go earlier? Hold on, I gotta look at this. Your nade went there. Oh, yeah. And I don't like the 20-meter sleep darts, or the range sleep darts. You know, because, like, there's nothing to do after you sleep the Doomfist there. There's nothing to do. Your teammates can follow up. You don't have a bio nade to secure kill, although I don't generally like throwing both cooldowns out at the same time as Ana. So I do like that your cooldowns are a little bit staggered here. That feels good. But, like, you use the nade, and then, like, literally your first opportunity you use the Sleep, but it's just not really one that you can justify. It's also really interesting. Your movement betrays you. So mechanics has 2 primary components, if you ask me. That's going to be aim and movement. And it's really interesting that, by the way, you're scoping in probably when you don't need to. You're reducing your field of view, how much you can see in one frame. And like these shots are easy to land without scoping in. So the Sojourn is pelting you. You unpeak and go for the Sleep Dart. So, like, was the plan to sleep her for shooting you, or was the plan to unpeak? Do one or the other, but your movement really cooks you here with your Sleep Dart cast. You sleep the wall. That little tower is sure is sleepy. And so am I. Whew. It's been a long week. That's a fine egg. But, like, okay, all right, I do want to mention this, and we'll see, right? I'm jumping to conclusions probably, and this is going to be an unfair thing of me, but you mentioned, you're like, I feel like, hold on, what was your comment? I feel like I was enabling my team to do quite a lot in terms of using my anti-nade. Okay, but if your anti-nade was, like, the final blow on the Doomfist, and the final blow on the Brig, against whom, like, damage has already been dealt from your team of the significant variety, right? They've dealt a bunch of damage to this person, brought them low enough for you to get your bio nades. I just want us to be clear, like, that's not the utility of your Bionade, right, to get final blows. That's a really nice thing that you do, and that helps to make you look great on the scoreboard, and honestly, if you have it, use it. So I love that you're going for the ability casts, and your ability casts are direct, right, that you've killed the Doomfist, you've killed the Brig, those are excellent. But I do want to mention, like, if we're talking about, like, setting up our team with anti-nades, we're looking to use Bionade from good pre-fights, from good pre-fight and setup phases, I'm sorry, hold on. So, Overwatch, fights in Overwatch occur in phases. I have, in my opinion, you have what are called, like, the opening phases of the fight are going to be the pre-setup phase, the setup phase, and then the engagement phase. And you're looking to get your nade in the setup or the engagement phase after establishing yourself in a position. I can't speak right now. I've been doing this too long. After you establish yourself in a position that is a good spot for your pre-setup fight phase, right? So so that's usually where we're going to see the windows for the nades be cast, right? Which is why I feel like it's possible, actually, that your nades here are just totally offset by the fact that you went for this nade at the very beginning with Onron. And actually been a couple of videos since I've mentioned this, so it's really good of you, Ryan, to give us the opportunity. Overwatch is a cumulative game, which means the decisions we make at the very beginning of the match, I actually needed to mention this in my last VOD review. This is why you guys got to watch all the videos. In any case, Overwatch is a cumulative game, so the decision that you made at the very beginning of the game also affect the options that you have later. She's not worth the Bionade cast, by the way. And it's possible that she's not even worth inting up for this. But if you are going to int up here, like, okay, here's the thing, right? What do we hear? What scouting with our brains can we do? We hear the wind up. We even see her get knocked back through the wall. So, like, there's literally no other option besides that there's a Doomfist there, especially if we're thinking about, like, respawn timers. Depending on how long you played Overwatch, you might be comfortable with, like, I don't even know how long it is. It's like 10 to 13 seconds or something like that for respawn timers, depending on if you're not in overtime, right? And so if we're thinking about our respawn timers, we know that the Brig and the Mizuki haven't respawned, and that they have a long walk back from spawn because the point's about to be flipped or whatever, right? So, like, it literally only can be the Doomfist who is accosting your Onron here. And if you want to save the Onron, it's not actually going to be by healing her. The fastest way to save your Onron here is to dispatch the threat. Can you kill Doomfist before he kills your Onron is the question you're asking. The answer here will be no. Look at the disparity between the health pools. His time to kill her, his TTK, is much lower than hers or yours combined onto the Doomfist, who has overhealth, who has all of his health, who probably has a couple of abilities as well. Yeah, he's at least got his power block, so that's going to even reduce, that's going to increase your TTK even more. But you have a sleep dart, so why not just sleep him? He's down for, what, 2.5, 3 seconds? 2.5 seconds, I think. And your Onron can just walk out, and you can then walk out, because why on earth, even if you land the sleep dart and heal your Onron a little bit, why would the two of you take your Doomfist here, where he would like you guys to be, right? Because doesn't he want to power block all of your damage and then punch you guys into a wall, right? On a mini pack that, like, you might already have taken by the point that this scenario occurs. Oh! Yeah, we kind of cook ourselves there. I mean, the decision to sleep the Doomfist occurs when we scout that he's nearby. I call this scouting with our brains, right? Which is, like, again, I mentioned, like, this, it's only the Doomfist who could be around that corner, right? So, like, moving up here, I don't have a complaint with, right? But, like, you should already be committed to, by this point, sleeping the Doomfist, so that when you round this corner, all you're looking to do, so the thought process is, okay, what's next? Where do I want to be here in about 8 seconds when we cap the point? How do I want to start moving to my next spot? Oh, I hear a Doomfist winding up. Okay. Oh, my Onron got punched. I'm going to run up. I hear the Doomfist. I know he's around the corner. Oh, there he is. And now I sleep. Now I cast the sleep dart. But look at how much time elapses. You also kind of cook yourself with your movement, I think, a little bit. And you also don't think he's going to move on your critical HP Onron, so you cast the sleep, like, where he's been, as opposed to where he's going. It's a projectile, so it has travel time. Get really, really comfortable with that. Spend some time in Vaxta or something like that. Ooh, yeah. Charging the Doomfist makes me very uncomfortable, even with the Bionade. I think that this is an okay Bionade. I think that getting it I think that you want to go for like splash on the wall instead of throwing at him directly, since he has power block here, and we know that he has power block because we haven't seen him use power block, by the way. Don't move the point. I'm curious about what Ana has, and I mentioned this in other VOD reviews, but we're gonna get into it here. I want someone in the comments to light me up. I want you and your response in this thread to be profound and thoughtful and clarifying to me, who is in the absolute wrong about this. I must be absolute bonkers freaking mental to understand Ana as a character who simply never belongs on the objective, whose responsibility is never to move it, who doesn't need to be compelled to move the point and escort in a hybrid, because respectfully, she has much, much, much more important things to be doing and setting up for, right? So, I am a big believer in that supports should never be on the point. I want my Lucio up with my Reinhardt. I want my Juno locking down health packs and getting speed rings during like setup for transitional fight phases and in kite positions. I want my Ana to set up on long sight lines where she has a clear path for her Bionade. I'm curious about what you think playing around the objective would yield as far as your Bionade cast. If I'm playing right here as Ana and just moving the cart, don't I have a massive cart, a huge obstruction in my line of sight? I would need to walk in front of the objective. And if I'm playing on my side of the objective, right, if this is my side of the point and this is their side of the point, then what does walking in front of the objective make me liable, like make it liable to happen, right? I'm going to eat all the damage that is meant for my tank, right? So not only do I have a bad Bionade cast here, I have a riskier Bionade cast here, when really I could just be, as soon as the point unlocks, moving to the position from which I have one of the best possible Bionades that I could ever possibly cast on this map. I don't believe any of Ana's cooldowns benefit from being on the point. The point gives a little bit of passive healing, but I'm curious about like what passive healing would ever help any player, any squishy hero past a breakpoint that a Doomfist couldn't shred through, that a Bastion couldn't rip through, that a Sojourn couldn't one-shot against, right? And break pumps out damage as well. I don't think Ana's sleep is good on the point. Again, there's a huge obstruction. I don't think her nade is good on the point. There's a huge obstruction. I don't think her gun is good on the point because either you're jumping around on top of or near the objective because there's no cover around the objective besides the objective itself, right? So either you're moving the point or you're not moving the point. And if you're not moving the point, you should be close to your walls, corners, and covers. I say that a lot. You should only like ever be like 1.5 meters away from your nearest wall or natural cover, right? And the point is like natural cover, but like it moves, right? So like you don't want the point to move into a spot where your position now becomes bad because you're orbiting the objective during a fight phase where the fight is concentrated on your side of the objective, right? Are you safe there, Azana? No, absolutely not, right? Are you safe off of the point around a corner? Yes. So you don't need to be on the point, especially Azana. Now, like maybe as Lucio, I'm okay moving the point sometimes. Maybe if my team is all run off and because it's solo queue ranked platinum and people at levels all the way up to low GM believe that, oh, support should be the ones moving the objective, right? Respectfully, DPS is the worst role in the game. It's a useless role. It does very little in terms of the utility, space creation. The supports are some of the best characters in the game. They do some of the most damage. They have the best utilities. They're excellent duelists, almost every single one of them, down to even Mercy and Lifeweaver, who deal insane damage with generous projectiles. Right? I could go on. Don't move the point. Don't move the point. Get to your next good spot. That's my thing. Is if Overwatch occurs in fight phases, and each fight phase lasts for about 8 to 12 seconds, depending on where you are, what comps are in, and what cooldowns are flying, and how eager people are to build their ults, use their ults, and use their cooldowns, right? And cycle through those. You've only got about 8 to 12 seconds to play in any one spot, and so you always want to be thinking ahead. Where do I want to be next? And that's what you want to be thinking about moving the objective, or instead of moving the objective here. Your Onron can move the objective. Look at her poking from range, right? If you queue with a friend and they play deeps, right? They can move the objective. Your tank can move the point, right? Sigma honestly doesn't mind moving the point and playing from this range, right? But you have a job to do You have angles to lock down. You have map control to attain. There's our 2 principles, by the way. The 2 core principles of Overwatch is a very easy game. It boils down to timing and map control. We actually talked a little bit about timing, or we had an instance of timing here where your Onron just took so much damage so quickly that you didn't have the time to throw Bionade at her, right? And then the other thing is map control, right? So do you think that this angle against this Bastion is an angle that Ana can reasonably control? No, I don't think it's in the rules of her character. I don't think it's in the rules of this particular matchup, right? The Ana and the Bastion on this particular angle. But you know what's a great representation, a great demonstration of map control? Health packs, right? So you could be going to lock down a health pack. You could be locking down a long sight line. That's map control. That plays into Ana's rules. You could be looking to take a high ground position. That's in Ana's rules. That's a good, strong position. And I'm not asking for you to int, right? As soon as the objective unlocks, you just beeline it for the highest point you can, right? But you definitely want to kind of be eking yourself along, right? Poke out here, cast a nade on the wall, right? Play your cover, heal your Sig as he rounds the corner, right? Honestly, no one has to move the objective until we know that the lane down which we want to move the point is at least a little bit clearer. What's the point of moving the point if it means taking damage that doesn't help you not only move the objective, but it also doesn't help you reduce the threats down that angle, right? So you're moving the point and you're taking damage that you really can't justify here. The long-range sleep dart. I don't like those. It's also notable that, like, the payload heals, right? But no one is benefiting from it, right? You take damage that you can't justify. That is not an advantage. And your other support should really be the one healing you, because that's how they generate their ult. And if the payload heals you, or if the payload is, like, doing some or at least enough of that healing, you're actually eating, like, little chunks of the support ult charge that could be generating. You could also just Bionade yourself, and then you get the ult charge instead of the objective, right? If you're not going to throw it at the wall against that Bastion, which you've been sitting on this cooldown how long? And you have the Sojourn marked, and you Sleeper instead of Bionade the wall, which is a little heretical to me, and I don't even play Ana. And you go for pot shots. Okay, this is the other thing. Oh, I haven't talked about this in a video yet. I hate it when we use our guns instead of the cool, awesome, unique, fun, creative, wonky, wacky meme abilities that are in this game. Sigma summons and throws a rock. Maga leaps into your face and stomps on your toes with the force of, like, a cartoon anvil, right? You have Bastion, who can literally turn into a tank. You have Ana, who puts people to sleep, and Juno, who makes people super speedy fast. Lucio heals people with his music, and he can also wall ride, and Vendetta throws her sword into the air like an anime character and goes Divina Samahita, and then slams it down with a one shot that kills, like, almost everything into your face, right? So why are you shooting your gun when you have all of these cool things that you could be doing? Why shoot your gun here? Now, you only take one shot, right? But that's the shot, that's the timing and map control, right? Outside of the fact that you're on a very weak angle into this matchup, right? I mean, how do you actually think it's fair if I, as a 6-year veteran coach who coaches at a high level, right? Do you really think it would be fair of me to say, oh yeah, you just have to land the sleep next time? That's how you win. You know, what can you do to help your team? Well, you can sleep the Sojourn from the low ground across, like, what is this? Almost like 25-30 meters, right? Yeah, you just got to land a 30-meter sleep dart from the low ground onto a target that's skinnier than I don't know, who's like a popular skinny person. I don't know, who's, skinnier than I don't know. I don't know pop culture references. Anyways. That's not fair, but you could definitely go for the Bionade cast, and you could do it from a better position, which is what you should be seeking instead of moving the objective. But then on top of that, you're going for pot shots here when, like, you should be nading, right? You went for the sleep instead of the Bionade, and then you went for a shot instead of the Bionade. Or honestly, you should just be Bionading here, but instead you tried to shoot the Bastion. He's in his shift. That's, like, the time that he doesn't want to be Bionaded, is when he's in shift, right? So if we're thinking about, like, Here's the other thing, and I mentioned this in a ton of other videos, so I'm not going to go into this one too in detail, but you have 3 rule sets that you're playing your character according to, like at any point in time, or that you're playing scenarios in Overwatch according to. That's the character's rule set. Who am I playing, right? So I'm Ana. I want to sleep and bio-name people. The comp rule set, which is who am I playing with, right? Okay, I'm playing with Sigma. I want to be behind a shield. I'm playing with Onron. Right, she's going to be in. She's going to come back to me for heals. And who am I playing against? I'm playing against Doomfist and Bastion. So there's going to be big, huge bursts of damage, and there's going to be nice, long openings for my abilities, right? If we're thinking about the matchup rule sets, it's fascinating that we don't go for the anti at a time when Bastion absolutely doesn't want to be antied, right? He does get a little bit of damage resistance via the Ironclad passive in that tank form, right, or in that sentry form, but or assault configuration, I think it's now called. But like, if he can't get healed during that, he shouldn't be peaking, right? And so that by itself reduces your pressure. That's an old principle that HATE taught us, and I've talked about this in other videos as well, particularly in DPS videos, is more damage equals less pressure. You will take a little less pressure from your team, or maybe it's equals like more pressure equals less damage. You can say it either way, right? But if you're applying pressure onto enemies, they will stop shooting you as much, right? If you turn and shoot your threats, they will get afraid of you. If you purple the Bastion, he won't be as comfortable shooting you. This is a choke point, and I've talked about this in other videos as well, but choke points are just like the worst part of the map to spend any amount of time in, and you have spent time in it. If Overwatch occurs in like 8-second phases, right? I have my time interval skip length to 8 seconds. So if Overwatch occurs in like 8 to 12-second windows, right? I want to look at how many fight phases you are in the choke. Okay, so let's get to the point where you get to the choke. Okay, so you're in the choke, and we have 1 fight phase, 2 fight phase, 3 fight phase. The fight's over by this point. So you have like 2.5 fight phases that you are just in the choke. That is a whole 20 seconds that you haven't done anything. And I'm curious if all this time that you're like literally not really doing much here, if you could just off angle, and if as the fight changes and you have correspondingly changed your position, your options, your advantages, right? And the possibilities as the fight changes, so should you too be, right? Because you don't want to be the static element in a team fight, right? If you're not changing, if you're not moving, if you're not doing anything, then you're going to get picked off by players who want to capitalize on that, right? So as you change your position and you wander over here, right? Do you think that the Sigma will be easier to heal? Yeah. Do you think the Doomfist might be easier to sleep? That's a defensive sleep dart right there, actually, right? This is probably the only ranged sleep dart that I would be okay with in this scenario, right? But instead, you have, and this is one of my big principles, it is always better in than out. It is always better in than out. I promise. I absolutely promise. Now, there are going to be times that like you int and you think to yourself, wow, that guy was full of shit. It is not better in than out. It wasn't safer for me there. I didn't have options there. Whatever. Whatever. Make a Reddit thread. It is always better in than out. I mean, you're going to tell me that I'm wrong about that when you spend 20 seconds in a choke and end up getting forced out at critical HP, unable to heal your Sigma, right? No, absolutely not. So go in. You want to be smart about going in, but that's the thing, is like, come over here where literally the Bastion can't see you, the Mizu can't see you, the Doom has to literally press his shift and use his abilities on you, and you have nice long sight lines that give you tons of options, and options to either go in or get out. And look at this. What is this? Map control, an indication that you're doing the right thing. It's always better in than out, I promise. Your sleep darts are easier to land because they're closer to target, so I complain about them a lot less. Your bionades are a little more clear. The damage that you take can be suppressed because you're hopefully near your walls, corners, and covers, not more than about 1.5 meters away at any point in time. Careful about being scoped in this position at this point in the fight. When you're scoped in, your hits, your bullets are very easy for enemies to spot, and you really want to kind of keep a low profile right now. You want to be careful about the information that you give your enemies, right? If they scout and mark you. This is a bad time to be peeking, and instead of crossing the distance here while you're already taking, like just don't peek. And when you see him, you know, and when you see the Bastion, know that he sees you too, right? And as soon as you see him, you know that you're not safe, you're marked, he's going to damage you, and just unpeak, right? What's with this movement? Why commit to going all the way over here? Again, as I've explained in other videos, it's bad to stack on top of your team, right? So stay on the off angle, right? Stay on the off angle, stay undercover, poke out the Bastion, don't take damage, and just do your thing over here. There's nothing in Ana's rules that say she has to stack right behind her Sigma at all times, standing still in the choke, doing poke damage with her gun instead of using her abilities. I promise. I promise. And I guess anything sounds bad when you string words together in that order, but what I want to show you are the options that you have by not committing yourself to the ways that you think you have to play, and instead just play according to Ana's rules, right? Play at range, in comfortable ranges, in safe spaces, close to your walls, corners, covers. These are FPS fundamentals as well. These are really hero shooter fundamentals, but look at how far away you're about to walk from cover. And like, to do what? To go stack behind your Sigma so that you can both take damage from the same Bastion nade, so that both of you can take the same punch, so that both of you can be stunned by the rally, or both of you can shoot your projectiles into a Mizuki ult. No. Go take your angle. Go take your angle. I hate it when I spit prophecy. Oh man. Yeah, I don't really like that nano. It's a little bit too early. Just play out the timings, right? So if Overwatch 2 boils down to two principles, timing and map control, then like you can just wait out like the 2.5 seconds that Mizuki ult lasts. It's a very short ult, and that way you're not rushing your team, right, to do anything. I'm curious about how big this flux is going to be. By the way, instead of walking forwards and backwards here, I want AD strafing around corners. Is going to be a little bit better. You get rooted where you don't have to. There's actually way too much WS strafing. Moving forward and backwards in a straight line isn't going to be conducive to dodging shots. And the flux is mid. The flux is mid. I hope that you didn't. I hope that the Sigma didn't feel pressured to go for ult just because you nanoed him. The flux isn't mid. Alright. I don't think I like the nano. Gravitic Flux is already an insanely powerful ult by itself. Your Reaper could afford to build his ult, which Nano would be helpful for. Your Onron could be sent in. It's possible that nanoing your tank at this level is like the play. It's possible that I'm making a big deal out of nothing. I'm just curious about what the other alternatives might look like. Who else might like really appreciate a nano? If this is really the right time for your nano, although I'm a big believer in if you have it, you should use it, and you definitely don't want to exceed that 25% that you can have like overcharge on your ult. So you really do want to let a rip here. Again, I would say wait a little bit until after the Mizuki ult, and I guess go for the nano into Sigma. I guess he's going to be one of your best options. Although I really wouldn't mind, again, being able to send your Reaper in, especially since you have the speed boost perk here. Imagine being able to send your Reaper in, and your Sigma fluxes, he does the same amount of insane damage that he does, but then there's a Nano Reaper to follow up on to like actually build his next ult, right? Not to mention the fact that you would have healed the Reaper. So I'm curious if my tank player would complain you didn't need to nano me there, if he's playing Sig in that scenario. I'll have to hear it from him. Yeah, I would just save sleep dart for you. Save sleep dart for you. If you're not going to sleep him like right after he lands, because by the way, you're way too close to this fight. Like, you are way too close. After you nano, like, after you get here, I'm, like, fanning out, right? There's nothing in Ana's rulebook. Don't stack on top of your team. Don't stack on top of your team. It's bad. It's actually really, really bad, and it will keep you stuck. I promise it will. Now, running off by yourself and taking off angles will absolutely get you killed, and it's going to get you flamed as well. I've been hard scapegoated in my diamond games for playing off angles by myself at times where my teammates think it's a bad call, even though So for some reason, I've got my BAP and my Ana both shooting my tank, who is at full HP, right? So that seems like a waste to me, by the way. In any case, I've been hard scapegoated for doing my own thing, but I promise you, like, it's the right call. I promise it's the right call. If you were to play, like, if you play on an organized, like a collegiate or a facet team, you could possibly understand the benefits of, like, the whole team not taking the same instances of damage, that you're helping yield the same ult charge for the same enemy. Anyways, don't stack on top of your team. I'm a little more eloquent in some of my other VOD reviews. It's a late night, been a long week, and that's a nice sleep. I don't like that, though. I don't like the long range sleep darts. I feel like you need it for you when you get dove, and like that is such a Hail Mary sleep. Like you get the sleep on the Mizuki by mere chance. You rolled a D20 and like actually got a 16 before modifiers, right? So like lucky you, I guess. The DM now has to make up some kind of absolute nonsense, like the merchant who never normally is willing to negotiate on his prices, all of a sudden has a change of heart because he started his morning with, a smoothie that made him feel very rejuvenated. Like had to make up some dumb stuff for you to be able to get away with this, right? And I feel like that's exactly this kind of sleep dart is. It's you rolled a 16, and you really shouldn't have been able to. There was disadvantage on that dice. But like, wouldn't sleep be nice on the Sojourn here, right? And oh man, you're on top of the cart instead of in the most powerful position on the map. If you voted for this map, you have to stop voting for this map. I have a negative win rate on this map, and I promise it's not only because I'm bad. It is because oh man, I'm so sorry, Ryan, because it's not your fault. I've never lost a game with you, and that actually means a lot. That goes a long way, right? But Ryan, I'm losing Eichenwalde games because my teammates are voting for Eichenwalde and then not pathing up to the best position in any first-person shooter ever, which is the high ground, right? Why are you on the objective as Ana? What do you think? Why do you think that she is good here? And if so, you're wrong. I could go into the multitude of reasons, but there are a multitude of reasons that you should just be on high ground. Your Reaper was helpable on high ground. You have angles on high ground. You can get them to look at you on high ground. If they're looking at you, then the rest of your team is free to do what they want. And honestly, the only one who can get to you is Doomfist and Sojourn. And don't you have a sleep dart prepared for them if they jump you here, and a Reaper nearby to help you peel and fight that threat, right? So, don't be on cart. Supports don't belong in the objective. They're bad on the point, and they're better everywhere else. And they're too good to have on the objective, which is an unimportant place to be, especially when fights are concentrated on top of it, at least if you're a support player. Don't be on the point. Support players, stop moving the objective. You have better places to do the more important things you should be doing than simply moving an objective that you could move after you've won the fight or advance to certain advantageous stages of the fight. I like the nature of that sleep dart. That's like the first sleep dart that like I've actually I like what you're thinking behind that, right? Which is to reduce the threat on your Mizuki. It's just the cast is a little bit weird. It's probably your movement that's messing up your aim here. You keep aiming your sleep dart for where they are or where they were instead of where they're going. I would spend some time in Vaxta. VAXTA is the custom game code. You can just like eat sleeps for hours. Careful, that nade is... It's too early. It's too early. So I've talked about this in some other VODs, is like doing the all of our heroes and their kits. So if you're thinking about Bionade as an ability, like, yeah, you can anti this Doomfist. For what, right? I mean, if you're a Doomfist player, are you daunted by this? All the Doomfist players come up to the front of the class and put a little tally on this chart that I've created of Doomfist player. It says at the top, and then underneath there are two categories, and it is fearful and still reckless are the two categories. And I promise you, every single Doomfist player in this classroom, which is like all of Timmy over there, Timmy, get up, man, get up and put your tally down. No, not in the fearful section. Oh my god. Anyways, all of the Doomfist players are going to still be reckless on this. They don't care that they've been antied at 564, which, by the way, is past their maximum health pool before they get overhealth from the abilities, right? So, like, what is the Bionade for? And if you're thinking about Bionade and what you can do, yeah, you can anti the Doomfist here, like, for what, right? But also, Bionade does healing and amplifies healing. So, like, and you have all the information to know that you should be bionading yourselves. Your Mizuki is half HP, which, by the way, you should probably just turn around and leave him to die, or you should be walking onto the objective and dying as quickly as possible because you guys are staggering yourselves big time here, right? I mean, your tank is respawning, the fight is lost, like, pretty much at this phase, right? So, like, you guys should be trying to die as quickly as possible so that you can reset with the rest of your team and start playing this very technical map. It's actually not that technical. You just have to play the height. You just have to go high ground and set up in the positions that your characters are good. For supports, that's not on the objective. For hit scan, that's on the high ground. For tanks, that's in, well, it kind of depends on the tank that you're playing, but is usually high ground. So you guys are staggering yourselves, but also, like, you have all the information to know that you could be bionading. By the way, don't stagger here. Like, actually go onto the objective and die as quickly as you can, right? There are some fights that you do want to play out and, like, try to clutch up, right? Especially if you have, like, ults in the bank. It's like other teammates that are, like, coming back or are like re-engaging or are still engaged, right? But like, at least for this scenario, like, you should just be dying. Like, Overwatch added wave respawn, guys. Overwatch added, when it was still called Overwatch 2, it added wave respawn. That's not a new mechanic. That's not a new gimmick. And it's something that high-level, like, GM plus champion players, like, abuse, and that's part of the reason that they're GM and the rest of us are masters, right? Like, unironically. Don't stagger. The other thing here is, if you are going to stagger, like, you should be binding yourself because it's your Mizuki. You miss the sleep dart, so you know he's going to continue to take some really insane damage. The Doomfist punches you guys and hits both of you, right? If it does healing, then you want to heal both of yourselves. But also, if it does healing amplification, then if you hit both of yourselves, then both of you do more healing to each other, right? So, like, you actually have all of the knowledge that you need, right? This is the compositional rule set coming into play. These are the rules that help dictate that you should be bionading yourselves, right? Rather than a full HP Doomfist, which the rules of the matchup dictate that. I have to erase Timmy's tally. Dumb idiot. Because there's no Doomfist that won't still be fearless with this Bionade. I think that's a band, right? Anyways. Or maybe it's a song. Oh, wait, I'm looking at the Doomfist. Hold on, where are you, Ryan? I can't believe that you guys live that. And, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. In my perfect world, you guys get absolutely punished and staggered here, and you don't recover for the rest of the map. Okay, here, let's take a look at this, though. So your Mizuki stops taking damage here. You, somehow, Doomfist goes critical. It must be a brilliant ult from our Onron. Okay, interesting. You guys don't die in the process, too, and I think you guys should have died. So, just, I have this fight, like, if I'm writing the story, the narrative of this fight, I have this going much differently. But this is quite impressive that you guys lived this. So, be really careful about the ambient jumping here, by the way. I haven't noticed it until this point, but be really careful about jumping. Jumping is bad. Jumping is also bad. If you're not jumping, like, intentionally, like, as in every jump that you do is something that's really intentional, then be really careful. Also, be careful, like, once you're up here, like, let your teammate peek you, and be careful about, you jumping actually helps you miss that shot, by the way. And then you just want to, like, seek cover and such. Oh, God, stop jumping around corners like you're playing Widowmaker. And you walk around this corner with Bionade. Why not just Bionade her? Why miss 3 shots first before landing your first instance of damage? Why not just round the corner and then land the ability that, like, that you can land? Also, is your aim messing up is your movement messing up your aim here? No, it's just got to take more time in between your shots. Yeah, you Bionade late, and because of that, it doesn't get any value. Just Bionade first. We're shooting our guns instead of using our cool Overwatch abilities. I've been yelling at my low GM players about that. So like I said, when I said it earlier, it literally is all the same. It's all the same. It's all the same. It is all of us not playing according to the rigidity of our disciplines that are required to be excellent at this game. Sounds like everything else in life, isn't it? God, if I want to be a novelist, I gotta write every single day. If I want to be a good coach, I have to constantly review material, constantly learn all of the tricks and characters and tips and everything. So it's funny. It's funny. I just don't like the long range sleeps, but the fact is that this is about to be an excellent setup. Don't instantly wake up your own sleep targets, though, right? He is in shift. Let him sleep for as long as the duration takes for that dangerous, lethal. Overwatch damage in Overwatch ramps up quickly from insignificant, the damage you don't have to worry about, to significant, the damage that forces you to find cover, find a health pack, get to a support, right? And lethal instances of damage. That's the damage that kills you. If a Bastion is in tank form or assault form, he's going to do significant damage. And who does that hurt most? Your tank, your shield. That's a shield that's meant to protect you, and it's being used to block Bastion damage, right? That as he gets slept here, right, Sigma can take a breath because he's half HP, no barrier, no shift, has his rock, but would rather have that for Doomfist than Bastion, right? Would rather just poke out the Bastion. So like even if your sleep darts are going to get woken up all the way up to champ, right, then like don't be the one who wakes up the sleep darts. Buy your Sigma a little bit of time, right? If Overwatch 2 boils down to timing and map control, wouldn't the timing of this Bastion not being able to shoot this Sigma be helpful to your team, right? So you get a little bit damage happy here, and that's really unfortunate because you really just need to play out the timers. It's interesting as well how a sleep dart would help you justify staying up there in that position, but whatever. If you're jumping off the low ground, that's fine because you're dropping off for a good reason. Your Mizuki is also here on the low ground, so if it's always better in than out, which I think I have said by now, then good. You've gone in, and that's actually really, really good. Now you just have to play according to your rule books, right? Which is your ranges. Use this, use this, use this, use these stairs as cover, and just play the long sidelines. If I see you walk up to this objective to move it to the finish line in like one of the worst parts to play on anywhere on this map, then I'm gonna say that I'm very unhappy is what's gonna happen. We nanoed our Sigma, but like, does he really need the nano to build ult? And is he really the one who needs it? I wonder if my tank player... I mean, I don't know. Like, I love seeing a distinct reason anytime I see anyone do anything in a game. It's why VOD reviews with some of my players are really quick and easy, because I just understand their gameplay well enough to understand like the decisions that they're making and the influences behind it. But like, okay. There's a couple of things going wrong here. Oh man, there's a couple of things going wrong here. Okay, so first off, it's being out in the middle of the open away from your walls, corners, covers, and like jumping around out in the middle of the open. Jumping is bad. It raises your center of mass. It makes it messes up your crosshair discipline and your crosshair placement, and then it also makes your movement predictable, your movement and momentum heckin' predictable and like absolutely unstoppable. I'm talking like Halo 3 levels of like if you jump you lose, right? So jumping around out in the middle of the open away from your walls, corners, covers, you're walking towards the objective, which you don't have to be, because remember, look, you literally can't shoot the Mizuki because the payload is an obstruction. Isn't it interesting how you don't have that obstruction on high ground? And if you didn't sleep, you didn't waste your sleep on a Bastion who was going to die anyway, so that you could just sleep the Doomfist when he jumps up here, you would still have a clear shot on the Mizuki and a Bionade, because there's no reason to Bionade a full HP Doomfist if he dies up here and you have him slept, right? Especially if your whole team is on the point. So, just saying. Think ahead. Is the Doomfist going to dive me? Should I have my sleep for that? Does that sleep help me play high ground, which is the best position to play in like any first-person shooter, right? You're walking up towards the objective. The Doomfist lands. By the way, you're like really easy to... Oh, man, you're really easy to exploit here because you're like moving towards the objective. So, like, where else is the Doomfist going to go? And like, if you're on high ground, then like he's going to come after you, but you have options on high ground, right? Like jumping off of the height. But then you like stop playing cover and you start walking away from your Sigma, who like wants to fight the Doomfist. Like Platinum Tank Brain, everyone wants to shoot the tank, right? Doomfist goes for the stun. You take the stun. You go for the sleep on the Doomfist. And then I don't know why you nano here, and that's my problem. I just don't understand a variable here that is like I should go for the nano. Outside of that, I have it, right? So I'll use it, which is a good policy. But don't you think that nanoing the Onron who is going after the target that you've antied, don't you think that might be better? Right? Hold on, was that the target that you had antied? Or was that the player who was chasing? Wait, who was chasing? Hold on. Who was chasing him when he was antied? Who was chasing him? Oh, shoot. Okay, you know what? Yeah, I'd actually say Nano Mizuki here. I think that's fine. I mean, that justifies him going in on the target that you've antied. So you've already invested in this target. It buys him a little bit of speed boost. It forces him to be the subject of aggression. You know, that might help buy you and your Sigma a little bit of time and space. It helps him move forward. Well, I mean, what else is a Platinum Mizuki player going to do with an with a nano boost, right? They're just going to send it, right? That connects him to his on-run, right? It's always better in than out, right? So if a nano helps him stay in, especially with a DPS who wants to be in, right? You know, I like that. I just don't think the Sigma is your best nano target, and maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm biased against nanoing Sigmas. I just don't know. I just don't know about it. I don't like it. I do know about it. I don't like it. I think that there's probably a matrix of reasons that I don't like it, related to things like damage potential, the unique utility of damage amplification being helpful for ultimate generation, positions that your teammates are in, you know, what Sigma can really do with this nano. I mean, he can chunk through the Doomfist, but like the Doomfist is going to yield less ultimate charge, so you're not helping him build his ult. You're really just making him like a beefy target at a time when he's full HP. So if you're thinking about like all of the different things that nano can do, hold on, he's half HP here. Okay. So yeah, you do heal him with this nano. So you do engage a little bit with the all that are abilities that our characters can do. You force the Doomfist to go aggressive on him. That forces the Meteor Strike. But then your Nano Sigma gives up on the Doomfist. Yeah. I don't think I Nano Sigma. Or at the very least, like, I wonder how to say this. Don't like just nano your tank. You know, like nano with a plan, nano with a reason, right? I want to heal this target. I want to give someone damage amplification so that they can build this ult. I want to let this Mizuki be unhinged, unleashed, and chase the enemy support that I've antied, which is absolutely a win condition, by the way. Or at least it's part of a set of win conditions, right? It'll help you get to the next phase of the fight at least, right? By getting that pick. But like nanoing my tank who's just going to shoot the enemy tank up until the point that it's inconvenient for him to shoot the enemy tank after the enemy tank has already dove me because I'm playing in a bad position. And if I'm playing in okay, generally doing the right thing in Overwatch leads to the next right thing to do, and doing the wrong thing in Overwatch can very easily lead to the next wrong thing to do. So do you think that if I'm already like on the car in kind of a bad position that doesn't suit my hero, do you think that any nano boost from this position, is it possible that any nano boost from this position is something that I will complain about? Maybe. I think that's a fair question. You should have just been on the high ground. It's really fortuitous though. It's really a really good position that for now, it can be that easy. Go play your good Ana positions. Spend less time in chokes. Go to the high ground. Stop doing this thing where as soon as you go under pressure, you start wandering away from cover. Here's a point to go to cover. Here's a point to go to cover. Here's a point to go to cover. But you traverse the absolute longest distance, and you even have wasted steps. You even like back and forth here for like no reason instead of bolting for the nearest point of safety that you have, right? Oh my goodness, and some safety it was. Imagine if you had just gone to the castle and then like gotten to the mega or just like settled down and let them lose the mark on you. Oh, that Mizuki ult is really tough. Stop scoping in for all of your shots as well. Be just so comfortable with the hit. Okay, all right. If you voted for Eichenwalde, you have to stop that. You are standing here healing your team when like you could be pathing up high ground to like shut down the Sojourn and set up your position for the next stage of the fight, right? So this is really troubling. I'm gonna watch you follow your team mid And I'm just going to understand that it's going to be very difficult to talk about very little instead of everything all at once because of how much goes wrong when you opt for this kind of traversal over the map. This is tough. Yeah, this is tough. Your pressure, your sleep is bad, your bionade isn't available, your options are reduced, your pressure is too immense, your picks are non-existent, your pick potential, that is. Your angles are weak, impotent. You don't have map control. It's bad timing. Your Reaper is ulting at a time when you are rotating through main. By the way, if you had just turned around and gone up the steps, you would be on high ground at a time where you can actually support your Reaper, who is, by the way, like, getting it done. This is the right call. This guy's playing the game. I love it. And he would love a bionade there. He would love a sleep on the Doom, right? But you are standing on top of your team, walking oh, being herded like sheep towards the objective by some invisible, arbitrary feeling that compels us to walk ambiently towards the objective as if we are shambling zombies in search of our next set of brains, right? But really, you have to, especially on a map like Eichenwalde, I mean, it's spelled out in the map. High ground, here we go, high ground, right? I mean, just everywhere. Like, if you think high ground isn't part of the map, then you shouldn't be voting for Eichenwalde. And that's why. Stop voting for Ike. Stop voting for Eichenwalde. Everyone, stop voting for this map. Unless you actually know how to play it. Unless you know how to play it. And do I know how to play it? It depends. It depends on what comp I'm against and what character I'm on and who I'm playing with. But, like, most of the time, at least I understand, fan wide, don't stack on my team, don't spend too long in choke points, get to my next good spot, and usually that's on or near or through high ground, right? So this one is tough. There's a lot that we could talk about here. There's a lot that I've already spent a lot of time talking about on some of these other sections where, like, everything is wrong just on the basis that we are not where we should be. And we have to keep things moving along. This has gone for 55 minutes now. So and I really shouldn't even be spending more than 30 minutes on these. I've got to learn how to cut things down. Yeah, I mean, we're out in the open, away from walls, corners, covers. We're not moving to our next good spot. We're not engaging in how much better it is in than out. I mean, look at us. Look at us moving around out in the open. Look at the movement. Where's your cover? Where's your next good spot? Is it really right behind your Sigma, healing him to full HP? So that you can, what, get punched for it? Like, hello? You're getting punished. And it's because you're not doing what you should be, which is really unfortunate. Because I think that you actually have some really nice ideas, some setups that you want to go for on some sleep darts that could be used more defensively by putting yourself in a little more, right? Or on high ground, right, where you are a desirable target. That's a nice nade timing, by the way. That's actually a really nice nade timing, right? So there are these setups, there are these good ideas that you have, and you actually just need to start with playing in the positions that are good for Ana to play in, right? Where is that generally? Well, on high ground, but that's also going to be at places where her sight lines are nice and long, where she can see her threats coming from, or hear her threats coming from a long ways away, and set up for those. It is where her sleep darts can be at close range in defensive styles against enemies that are looking to pressure her out of these positions, or even pick her out of the fight, especially at inconvenient or inopportune or disadvantageous times, like at the beginning of the fight before anything has happened in the pre-setup or setup or engage fight phases, right? And where her bionade casts can be long and multifunctional, meaning that her bionade cast can be clear, unobstructed, like from the payload, which she shouldn't be on. It's just bad for supports to be on the objective. I promise I'm not lying. I promise I'm not lying. I promise I'm not lying about that, or about high ground, or about ults, right? And actually, you've had some nice ult timings. I've actually really liked the times that you've used your ults. It's just the targets that I really don't like, and the positions from which you are ulting make it very difficult to understand what the right call actually is. So where are the good Ana positions? It's the one that meets those conditions, where her Bionade can get healing and damage, whatever she needs at any point in time. You dropped off the high ground for like no reason. Doomfist could have punched you instead of the Sigma. That's a nice multifunctional Bionade there. You're jumping around for no reason. Remember, I don't like the jumping. It raises your center of mass, messes you for cross your discipline. It's kind of funny how like you choose times to not jump. You should not be on top of the objective. There are better places to play. You got hindered and it's so deserved. And you deserve to get punched too. Stopping on the point. Supporters don't belong on the point. Like, we can't, we literally, it's so unfortunate. We actually can't talk about anything else, even though I've chosen to talk about like literally everything else. We can't talk about anything else until we figure out this positioning that you're opting for. It is, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use the U word. It is unacceptable for Ana to be on a moving objective. On the hybrid and escort modes, Ana just doesn't belong on it. I would love some high-level, expert, professional, veteran Overwatch coach to tell me I'm wrong. Someone at Spilo. Let's see. I don't like that sleep. I don't like that nade either. And for all the same reasons that I've mentioned. This is really troubling. As the fight is going south, it's also worth it to consider that, like, I could just, like, fan out wide here early on. Instead of backing out, I could, like, go in. And I'm not, like, going into their formation, right? That's not what it's always safer in means, right? Again, you want to be smart, right? So instead of just constantly moving back, could you be constantly moving, like, left or right? Because let's say things start going south, they pick your tank, right? But then you're able to, you know, hear the Bastion walk up, right? Get a sleep on him, get an aid, 3-tap him afterwards, right? And then all of a sudden you've equalized the fight, right? It's not an equal trade, right? Your tank for their Bastion, right? But that's a lot of pressure that they eliminated, and then a lot of pressure that you eliminated, right? So like you don't have to just back up when you're missing advantages, when you're losing advantages, or when you're having disadvantages imposed, right? It's also interesting how like if you actually swing over here, you have a better line of sight on your Sigma, right? So I don't like stacking on top of each other. This is what I call the straight line formation. This is when all of us, well, I've talked about the straight line formation in other videos. I don't like it. It's a bad formation, and you shouldn't necessarily be stacked up on the same angle as your support. You guys should off angle from each other, set up crossfires. That way you guys can carry each other and your team, right? You are less powerful over here than you could be over here. And you have less options. I mean, your only option is literally to back up. And like, is a fight where you are backing up a fight where you are generally going to be winning? I'll let the Overwatch experts answer that one. I sleep on the Doom, but it's unnecessary, and your Bionade doesn't have enough follow-up there. I like that you can hold tab, and it shows the scoreboards now. Oh my god. Oh my god. You're KDA. You're a KDA Ana. Oh no, that's unfortunate. Hey, you have to die in Overwatch. If you aren't dying, you're not playing the game correctly. I've talked about that a little bit in streams. I'm not going to use this VOD as an opportunity to talk about it, but be careful about favoring your life over setting up plays. Oh, you're jumping around. You're jumping around like a frog. You're also not going in with your team. So if you do die, if you do pick up a 4th death, it'll be deserved. Although I haven't actually noticed you KDAing, actually. So maybe you aren't a KDA Ana, but I am surprised by the disparity in your team's deaths versus your deaths, and I'm wondering like what you aren't contributing on. No, it actually is. You aren't taking risks, right? You didn't go wide here on the stairs. You stayed behind your Sigma and healed his buttocks while standing in the choke. You didn't play the stairs so that you would have an angle on your Sigma, an angle on anyone who walked in, a Bionade setup for your Doom and your Sigma, and an off angle, a crossfire for your Yari if she needed help. You never once ventured high ground. You didn't go through castle alone which is weird because you have all of the utilities to like win a duel in here, by the way, and a health pack to drop off of or drop down to, right? You were constantly kiting back from fights. You dropped off the high ground at like the slightest hint of a threat, even though you could have just saved your sleep dart to make sure that you are able to stay up here, right? So like you aren't taking risks and you aren't dying for it, and because you're not taking risks, that you're not actually setting up the plays that you think you are. I was trying to enable my team to do quite a lot in terms of using my anti-nade, but like no, we haven't seen actually like We haven't seen operable anti-nades, actually, this entire map. That's not true. There's been a couple of good anti-nades. But for the most part, like, you're throwing anti-nade into a full HP Doomfist. Or someone who's already going to die. And it's also that it's also interesting that you're trying to like set up like long range, like aggressive sleep darts, but like the sleep darts that you're going to get conversions, like kill conversions off of, are the sleep darts where someone has jumped you, you slept them, and you get your team to turn around and help you deal with them. Now, is that going to be rare in Platinum? Yeah, 100%. But at least you'll win the games that you get teammates that do that, right? And isn't that a big deal? As opposed to losing the games where you don't have a sleep dart to deal with your aggro threats, or to deal with your threats, right? That's a nice sleep. That's a nice sleep, right? What's the difference between that one and the other sleeps that we've seen? This one was this was playing second, is what we call it, right? Doomfist played first, right? He made his move first, and you made yours second, right? So you saw his aggression, and you punished him for that aggression, right? That's a nice sleep cast, although I almost wonder if you should be missing that because you're jumping around. You're spamming your jump key at weird times for no reason. You are jumping during the sleep dart cast. How do you think that's going to make the shot easier to land, right? Don't do that. Don't stop jumping. Stop jumping for no reason. And so it's a nice sleep. I hate using both cooldowns at once, but this secures a kill on the Doomfist, right? So it's really, really meaningful, right? So that's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, he wasn't diving you, right? But he was diving a part of the map that you control. Now, you are out in the middle of the open, and you don't need to be. But most, or at least some other components of this particular scenario were favorable to me. I am pleased. I am happy. I am happy. Let's see. It's just too samey to me. Like, you're spamming into a Reinhardt barrier. You could have pathed up to high ground to set up an actually, like, meaningful Bionade to make yourself, like, someone that they wanted to look at so that you would be able to goad someone up top to sleep them isolated all by themselves. They can't even fight. They can't even jump top anyways. So they would waste Bastion on you because you have Bionade and you have the movement skills to juke it out. You don't want... I mean, the alternative is Bastion, like, nades your entire team. So your whole team goes half from 3 shells instead of like one person, like taking all 3 shells and like living in the process. You see how one scenario is more favorable to me than the other? Oh God, don't walk into the Bastion shells. Sometimes those are kind of hard to dodge. But you see how liable to take damage you are just standing on the point? Like, imagine how easy all this damage is to dodge if you're on height. You're jumping around. Stop doing that. You're in the middle of the open. That's a nice Bionade. That's a nice Bionade. I like that. Okay, go high ground. No. Go high ground. No. And don't nano your stick here. Nano your Onron in the aggro position as the aggro character who wants to like be in and stay in and set people on fire. I mean, can you imagine how much fire damage and how much ult she could generate to just win this fight from that position if you just nanoed her? Oh man. Oh man. Oh, that's an impressive Bionade. I mean, look, I guess if it's going to lead to plays like that, like, fine, you can nano your Sigma, but like, okay. Like, Flux already is insane. Flux does 50 damage on lift and half of the total, half of the max HP, or is it half of current HP? I can't quite remember. It does a ton of damage. Do you really think that it needs nano on top of all of that? Don't you think that nanoing your Onron is like more utilitous? Sigma doesn't have ult to generate, and he wasn't critical HP, right? So like, he had so much overhealth, right? Now he's in front of a Bastion and Reinhardt, and he really shouldn't be playing Sigma that way, but he also has his Flux, right? So he can do kind of whatever he wants. But your Onron has a different set of conditions, and you help her break some of those rules and make advantage for herself if you deliver the nano to her. That's a nice Bionade cast. That's a really nice Bionade cast. It's just as clear from high ground, by the way. It's just as good to hit that nade from high ground, or it's just as easy. Go high ground. Please go high ground. If you voted for this map and you're not moving high ground, like, stop voting for Ike. I'm so serious. Stop. Stop. People who vote for this map without, like, understanding that they have to use all of the map, right? You have only played the main stretch of this map the entire time. This is a whole 20% of the map, right? Use 80%. You have a castle, you have a catwalk, you have a high ground, you have health packs, you have minis and megas, you have a basement, I mean, I did see you down here at one point, right? You use that as a kite path at a time where you should be dying on the objective and resetting with your team. KDA Ana. Oh my god. Oh god, the jumping's killing me now. Oh god, the Bionade wasn't too great. It would have been nice to have that for yourself. You're jumping around in the middle of the open. Bastion's going to be really. Bastion's going to have an easy time spotting you and getting you gone. Let's see. Be careful. I think you're. I don't know. I don't know. We would have to reevaluate. We'd have to come back and take a look at like the times where you're committed to certain damage, and certain like damage applications. I'm not entirely sure that you're picking and choosing the best times to do the things that you're doing, and that's like sleeps. That's definitely the sleep darts. That's definitely the nades, and that's definitely like the times that you're doing damage and times that you're doing healing. You wandered way too wide here. Remember, closer to your walls, corners, and covers, right? That way you're just not taking the coalescence damage, and if you're not taking the coalescence damage, then your Juno can heal your Sigma, right? And then your Sigma like won't need like an emergency nano or whatever. All right, you are creeping up to 13 over ult generation, so you really want to be able to use it here at some point. Who'd you nano? Oh, you nanoed your Honron. I love that. Let's see what she does. Oh, well. My Onron does that too. But I do know a couple of really good Onron players who would, which is crazy because I mean, I think she's so difficult. I do know a couple of good Onron players who would be like, I would love that nano. And I do know a Sigma player that I think would be like, I don't know why you're nanoing me there. I'll have to ask him. I'll have to ask my tank player and see what he thinks. You're out in the middle of the open. Like, there's literally only you to look at. All of them can only see you and none of your other teammates. So the question I might ask if I was trying to be snarky is, like, who else are they going to look at, right? We're looking. All right, so the Bastion POV, all he sees is the Ana. The Sojourn POV, all she sees is the Ana. The Moira POV, all she sees is the Ana. And the Ryan POV, all he sees is the Ana. So, I mean, just as soon as... You're just playing too wide. You're too out in the middle of the open. Closer to walls, corners, covers. Okay. Oh, that's a rep on it. Yep. Be careful. You wanna jump towards this mini pack. You're out in the middle of the open, so it's easy to ult you. Okay. As I mentioned, there's a lot to like, or rather, there are things to notice that we understand under better conditions are easier to like, right? Some of the nades that you're going for, right, like the big ones on the fluxes, and I think that you're going for these big setup plays. But I also think that you're committing your resources where they aren't necessary, and part of the reason that you're having to overcommit on some of these resources is because you're not playing in the positions where the resources that you're already committing are like any good, so you have to like double and triple down. You're generally too wide. You're too far away from your walls, corners, and covers. And well, okay. Be careful about just only shooting our tank, right? Your other characters on the team want you to pay attention to them too, and it feels like you're really your gameplay is kind of directed by like where the tank is and what the tank is doing. When really your gameplay should be based on 3 different rule sets, right? Which is your hero, who am I playing, and how do they want to play? The matchup, who am I playing against, and the comp, who am I playing with, right? I think that you could be a little more creative with the nano blade, with the nano blade. I think you could be a little more creative with the nanos. I think that you could be a little more eager to play positions that are good for your character, and that are not necessarily the same old tired spots that you are used to playing. Defy the conventions of how you think this character should be played. I have a lot of Ana players, a lot of people who are experts in this character who will tell you, you're pretty much free to play this character however you would like and get away with it. I mean, she has a lot of options, and she is on the best role in the game, right? And so I would really look to take advantage of the fact that you can play her defensively, offensively, but I would make sure that you're reserving the cooldowns for those scenarios where it's appropriate. Cut out the ambient jumping, the being out in the middle of the open, the only looking at the tank, right? Make sure that you're willing to die. Remember, when fights end, let them end. Go respawn with the rest of your team. Who cares about your death count after you've won the match, right? And the easiest way to win the match is to establish advantages over time that eventually give you the best options during the one fight or the one fight phase that matters. Constantly seek your new positions. Where is my next good spot? I've got about 8 to 12 seconds to play in any one spot, and by the time that point expires, the fight will have changed, and I need to change with it, right? I need to constantly seek off angles, establish crossfires with my other support so that we can carry each other and care our team, and don't have to only be looking at the same person. I don't want my Yari and my Ana healing my full HP Sigma if both of my DPS are taking damage on other angles while getting things done. Like we looked at the Reaper, right? Who might have been able to get care if you had just played on high ground, right? Instead of stacking on top of the rest of your team, which generally is bad, not only because it allows you guys to play in the straight line formation, which is one of my least favorite formations, like ever, right? I don't think you've ever seen an army, like in history or in fiction or whatever, win by playing the straight line formation. I'm pretty sure those armies get rolled. In any case, it also makes you guys susceptible to the same damage and helps enemies generate their ult charge a lot faster. Your generally ult timings are pretty good, but again, I think you could be a little more creative with them, and you need to use your cooldowns in scenarios where they're appropriate. I would reserve your sleep dart for when you get dove, or so that you can play second to aggression that the enemy team maintains, and I would use your Bionade to make sure that you are. Oh man, you just slept the wall. Like, but that's a Rhine shield, and you had scouted that he had a Rhine shield too. You knew that they had Rhine. Here's where you see the Rhine. Like, what do you? He's gonna block the sleep. He's never going to get slept there, right? And now you're down your sleep, so if they push onto you, if their Rhine pins and your Rhine doesn't pin in time, you can't sleep him, right? Wouldn't that be nice to have as an option? You guys also aren't moving through the chokes, right? So there's a lot of directions that you can pick, and that's a really, really good thing. I would say, though, that the best place to start, and I say this in every video, that's why it's really worth taking a look at all of my other content. It's generally the same things that I'm saying, but like it's for all of these different scenarios, and I'm helping us understand like how they are all the same, and how Overwatch at the end of the day is actually like a really easy game to play. And so the place that I would start is these FPS fundamentals, these core ideas. That is your rule sets, your timing, your map control, and your FPS fundamentals. Finding and staging on high ground, your 8 to 12 second windows where you have to change and manufacture and manipulate new positions to give yourself more options. And then, of course, as well, playing your effective, comfortable ranges and then taking angles. And not jumping. Don't do the jumping. If you don't jump in Valorant constantly, don't jump in Overwatch. If you don't jump in Halo constantly, don't jump in Overwatch. This was a close match, and that's really, really unfortunate. I think that this one was deserved. I think that you guys do have to lose this one. And I think that part of the reason for that is enough of us, it wasn't just you, but enough of us just weren't creative enough with what we were doing. We didn't change up our strategies, and eventually when we were forced to change up our strategy, we kind of played in the exact same way as we had been playing. We were playing new characters, but not playing them in new ways. At the end of the day, it's not newness that we need to see from you and your Ana. It's just access to all of the options as opposed to only one, which is dodge damage as best I can while standing out in the middle of the open, playing main as Ana while trying to navigate as close to the objective as possible. Those are all the wrong choices, and they give you zero options. But once you path up to the high ground, you'll take duels. You'll be forced to use your sleep dart. You'll find follow-up with your teammates who are actually playing in the right positions, like your Reaper, like your, maybe not your Onron, but, if you have me on your team, at the very least, I'll be I will be so sad if my Ana is only shooting and looking and playing on top of my tank. I need my Ana with me. I need my Ana looking at me. I need my Ana contributing to the duels that I'm taking, the positions that I'm trying to play, the space that I'm trying to create. And for the love of this beautiful, bountiful universe, which has given us life and light and warmth and wonders beyond our wildest conceptions in this wild space that we call home, in this wonderful place that we call the universe as a whole. In even on the cold, what code was this? Let's see, KVR. Even on the cold and rainy days, even on the hottest of summer blights, for this lovely, wonderful, incredible place that has formed the reality which constrains us so. For the love of that, holy smokes, stop voting for Eichenwalde if you are only going to play the one stretch. Only vote for Eichenwalde if you are going to seize map control, take angles left and right, take high ground positions like the castle, looking down upon your enemies, or even I looked at a Juno VOD the other day or yesterday, where we talked about the power of this position, right? Where you are making plays from really powerful sight lines with long ranges, where you are playing characters who can jump and leap and manipulate the sight lines, right? Where you are playing wide and using your abilities down angles that they are good, right? Where you are willing to rat out a little bit and play near health packs. Again, take the map control, right? Where you're willing to rat out a little bit and find picks from the side or on a flank with your flanking DPS. Only vote for Eichenwalde if you know how to play the map. And only if you know how to play the map. And if you don't know how to play the map, and you don't know how you want to engage with Eichenwalde, don't vote for it, please. I'm losing games because of it. And Ryan, like I said, I've never lost with you, but I've lost a lot of Eichenwalde games because my Bastion won't just take space on the high ground, because my Sigma only wants to play the cart main, because my Brig is refusing to move up the stairs with me, because no one will form a core to help me play in the positions where literally every single character in the game isn't bad. Ryan, thank you so much for the invigorating Ana gameplay. This is by far the longest VOD review. There was a lot to cover, and again, there was a lot that I went on and talked about, even though I really shouldn't have, because we can keep it simple. You have to go high ground, you have to off angle, you have to play your rules. At the end of the day, engaging in any one of the directions that I give you will give you a lot of options, and I'm really, really excited to understand if this helps to enlighten some of those paths that you can take. I apologize, guys. Most VOD reviews won't be this long, and like I mentioned, I'm trying to find ways, I'm exploring options myself about ways to keep the VOD reviews short and sweet so that I can do a little bit more of them, and it's not mostly me repeating myself. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and Ryan, thank you so much for being willing to have your gameplay observed, analyzed, elevated, and also guided a little bit on the show today. Thank you as well for thank you for submission of the replay code here. I had an absolute blast looking at Ana gameplay, and I do really hate Eichenwalde, but it's always fun to get into the map and kind of understand a little bit better for myself, like how other people see it, how other people play it, because at the end of the day, I can try to play Eichenwalde my way, but if I'm not playing, if I'm playing Eichenwalde my way instead of the way that my team is playing, then I'm going to lose no matter what, right? I want you to play your way. I want you to play according to your rules and do your thing, and not be so beholden to the ways that you think you have to play. You didn't make the character, Ryan. She was made for you to engage with, however you see fit. So cut out some of the stuff that you don't have to. Adhere yourself more closely to some of the stuff that you do, some of the fundamentals, and you're actually going to find yourself climbing really, really quickly. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Be fair to yourselves. Be good good to each other, and I will see you guys again next time.